So this technique is for the dorsomedial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. So please go back to the slides and the anatomy plates and review exactly where this region is located in the brain. It is really important that you have that in your head as far as where your intention's going with the touch. We access these areas through point gallbladder 4 with a 45-degree angle into the cranium. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex will be more superficial with your intention. The dorsomedial prefrontal cortex will be deeper because it's more medial. And this technique is really interesting to access. This area is really interesting to access. The left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex has actually been associated with codependency behaviors in family members of people with substance abuse disorder. So it's really interesting to work this area with intention for people that you have that are trauma survivors, abuse survivors, or that have codependency patterning in interpersonal relationships. So we'll start at gallbladder 4. Again, ground yourself, and you're going to access this area if you've been guided to by the Toyohari assessments, or if you do have a client with that codependency behaviors, you can try to access it and just see if their body allows. So we'll go in around gallbladder 4 here, and my intention is going to be deep. You can do bilateral, but you may be guided to only access a unilateral space. So 45-degree angle to the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. I'm getting directed to just access the right side. So dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, I'm right. My intention is right of the midline, more superficial than what would be the dorsomedial, which would be right next to it, more towards the midline. Deep into the prefrontal cortex area. And we're going dorsomedial now, deeper. And you can even visualize your finger as like a laser light beam cleaning out these little areas of the cranium and the brain. And my pressure is now being guided to release, and Gabe's head is naturally floating this way. So, and we'll go in one more time. Now see if the left side potentially would like a treatment. And yep, left side is calling for a treatment now, so we're going dorsolateral, prefrontal cortex. When you're doing this, you can feel a draw directly into that area. You could feel a slight rotation of your finger while you're accessing the acupressure. A movement around just the little area, like I said. You can visualize your fingertip being a laser light beam cleaning out that area. And we're going dorsomedial prefrontal cortex now a little bit deeper with intention. And my finger is moving a little bit, kind of cleaning out that space. And I'm getting guided to release pressure. And I'm going to go back in and check in on both areas. And both areas are wanting some intention and just a little bit of a harmonizing into stillness. And my touch for both areas was not as deep as each singular area energetically, and then was guided out energetically as well. And when I was accessing both areas and sort of trying to harmonize them, it was like I was just trying to sync them together. So my fingers were kind of going like this is exaggerated, and then they gently slowed and synced up, and that's when I was guided to release outward. So, and he's at a good still spot. How did that feel for you, Gabe?
That was actually a pretty prolific treatment for me. I feel like when the pressure was coming from the right side, I felt just very, kind of like a very heavy, like a drowsy type feeling. And then as that side completed and we moved over to this side, the pressure from your left hand was not tactily as forceful, but it was more impactful sensationally. It felt much lighter, and I started to feel more awake in my head. And then I was getting this kind of imagery with my eyes closed. It looked like a nucleus, but the energy was coming in towards it like a cell shape and drawing in. It's very interesting.
Cool. Cool. That's great feedback. I'd like for you also to, when we're working with the acupressure points, especially in the intracranial work, go back and review the section in the manual on the descriptions of the acupressure points as well, because that might give you more inspiration and a connection with the point and the functions of the point and potentials that you can access with the techniques. So thank you so much for that feedback, and we'll go on to the next one. Thanks.